Welcome to our space where talking about the inspiring things with inspiring people is what inspires us. Waiting for you here are the infinite possibilities that creation, collaboration, and connection have to offer. A universe where we see everything through rose-tinted spectacles that help us to keep our faith in the power of imagination alive and well. And now, let's talk. Welcome everyone to Metralla Rosa. Today we're going to be exploring human feelings and human emotions. Today we're going to be talking about things that make us slightly uncomfortable, things that we not always want to talk about. And this episode will be basically about spreading love and good vibes and self-care and all those lovely things that this delightful human being seems to be an expert of. Her name is Bronwyn Murphy, and she is also a very relevant floor manager, very well known in the TV industry. But more important than anything else, she's the heart and soul of one of our favorite podcasts, Show Love, a podcast about human connection. Thank you so much
for
being with
You're very good. That is so good.
No, I'm not.
You didn't once.
No. But you know what? I was listening to the presentation of your first podcast and listening to you saying that podcast was not about small talk, but about deep, compromising talk, emotional talk. I realized that one of the reasons why I love the interview as a genre is that it allows you to go directly deep without all the smallness,
right
or the small talk, because somehow the situation allow you to do that. And I found that very therapeutic and very helpful for the people involved and for everyone.
Yeah.
So somehow you made me realize something about my own.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. Yeah. You've actually just made me realise that by telling me that as well. Like, I suppose that's why I enjoy it so much, because I like having a chat and getting right in there straight away. And
interviews are to do that. You have the permission to say things, ask for things more philosophical, but also more intimate. And people don't feel offended. They are in that territory together to allow that discussion.
Open up. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So I love the way you somehow, the starting point of your project. But I know that project of your podcast have started because of a tragedy somehow.
Yeah, it did. I was already sort of trying to show love and doing parties for single people and, you know, finding love and self-love and stuff like that. But the podcast came about after somebody that we all worked with took their own life. And it was quite a shock because he was the life and soul of the party. You just would not that you expect anyone to do that, but that was not the sort of person that I would ever have expected to do that. And a lot of us who absolutely adored him were so upset because
he
was called Billy, and we kind of felt like if only we could have chatted to him, we might have been able to stop this happening. And for me, because I used to have a lot of chats with him, I felt, you know, I had no idea that we all knew that he suffered with depression sometimes and stuff, but
we all do.
Yeah.
You never think someone is going to take their life.
Never think. And often, having done research from this after, a lot of people decide and they don't tell anyone anyway that they're going to do that. So as much as you're sitting there going, oh, if only I could have spoken to them. And I kind of thought if there's any way that I could maybe just get one of those guys, because I work in TV with a lot of, you know, lighting, you know, cameras, sound men. There's also some girls.
Most of the technicians, it's a very mainly
lads. And I just kind of thought, if one of those listens and they're feeling like that and they hear other people open up, they might they might think twice and they might not do it. And that's kind of why I started it, really, to show love to each other and talk to each other. Yeah.
So from the beginning, it's a beautiful, loving intention, I would say. So obviously, coming from a place of love, it all makes sense after all, because it's not to call the attention of everyone. It's really coming from the need of finding solutions to problems.
And connecting and talking.
Discussion is so important. I agree with you that the moment you put out something, it immediately is not only you, and it's not shameful anymore. It becomes just a reality objective that you can look from outside, and that helps a lot to change whatever.
Well, a lot of people, I think, that they feel that they can't say, and just having one conversation, the weight that comes off their shoulders, and they've said, like, you know, I also life coach, so other people have said that, you know, talking about things has changed their lives, in the fact that if only they'd just done that earlier, or just said it out loud or whatever. And I don't think, a lot of people don't want to burden other people. That's one of the main problems. And they think that, oh, well, nobody wants to know that, you know, I cried myself to sleep last night. You know, I've got to be jolly. And especially in the media world, you're only as good as your last job. And the fact that you want people to think of you as the jolly person and not the one that's crying themselves to sleep or whatever. And that's a problem, in the fact that stops people talking. And, you know, men are embarrassed. Don't mean to pigeonhole men, but it's proven that they don't talk as much as women. Like, we're in the cave having a good chat, and the men are out hunting and not talking about things.
And it's been proved that when they go through very hard times, they don't have that system of solidarity between mates, which is a very feminine
banter,
thing,
isn't it?
To
Banter.
do. We always get together to talk and gossipy, but gossipy becomes sometimes not gossipy. At the end, it's caring. It's talking about things that matter for us, and that's definitely very, very important. But then you started this show. Please tell me the story. When did you decided that you wanted to do it? And how long did it take
to do the podcast?
Yes.
Well, I just sort of started listening. This was about 2.5 years ago now, I think. And not everyone had a podcast then. Quite a lot of people have got one now. And actually, interestingly, a lot of people that I've interviewed have then gone on to do their own podcast.
Oh, really?
With good luck to them.
We all have one. My God, who's going to listen?
They're interviewed with me and they're like, oh my God, yeah, exactly. We all have one, who's going to listen? But I think they probably look at me and go, well, if she can do it, then I can do it, kind of thing. But I didn't really know what I was doing, and I didn't want to be in front of the camera, even though I'm in front of the camera now. I was always sort of like wanted to do it just with the voice. And I think listening to the one I'm just about to bring out,
you have a lovely voice, by the way.
Well, I'm no different. I all the time, and I make mistakes. I'm not a presenter, as it were, but I like the chat, and I think that, you know, they've all ranged. There are all sorts of different chats about, you know, addiction, suicide, and then there's silly ones like you mentioned earlier where I'm fawning over a band. But I just went for it because I'd listened to a podcast by a married couple called 8 Minute Millionaire. I have no idea how that came on my radar, but it was one of the first ones I listened to, and I loved it. And
do you recommend it?
Yeah, really, it was great, because they said to me, they didn't say to me as the
to
listener,
us.
to us, to everybody. But in the car when I was listening, I felt like they were saying, they said, just go for it. We all worry about making that step, and you can overthink it, and then when you do it, it isn't like you think it's going to be. So just go for it. So I literally just did it that week. I think I contacted the flatmate of Billy, who said that he was climbing Ben Nevis to raise money for Calm campaign against living miserably, and just said, would you chat? And it was only 19 minutes long or something. And you know, the lads at work bantered with me, and a couple told me it was shit. which is, some people, there's always going to be a critic. But there were a lot more men that had listened that said, actually, yeah, I wish that we had spoken to him, and I've got things I need to say. And I was like, yes.
One of the episodes I liked a lot was because you were talking about self-love, but then not the classical perspective, more feminine, because we always feel like, honestly, in society, the societies we live in, seems like this whole speech of self-love is very important for women, because we are actually very hard on ourselves all the time, much more than men. In some ways differently, in some ways harder, especially all related with image and consciousness of your appearance. But you were talking with a guy that went through a very difficult phase, and he realized that life cannot be only working, making money, working, and being the rock of others. Who is going to be my rock?
Yeah.
And then he started feeling anxious.
Yeah, and having he had a panic attack.
And all that. And how do you see now that you have done these episodes, and it's been along your journey already, how did you see self-love from a masculine perspective? What's the difference between self-love for women or self-love for men? How do you think we can connect, make men realize that they also need to nurture themselves?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, God, I'd love to know the answer to that, to be honest. I mean, I'm bringing up to men, and as much as, we are different, and we, like you say, we do things differently. Like you could say to a woman, oh, go and put a face pack on and have a bath or whatever, you'll feel better.
Yes, because we do feel better with things like that.
But actually, the amount of boyfriends, or, it makes me sound like I've had loads of boyfriends. I haven't. That's awful. I haven't. I don't know why I did that. But my sons, for instance, or my boyfriends, they love putting a face pack on and having a bath as much as we do.
Or a foot massage.
But yeah, exactly. It's those sort of things that I think that, we stereotype, but we all, as much as they probably don't want to have a good chat, some men love a good chat, but some men are more private and hold it in the masculine way or whatever. I think that we can sort of like cross and do this similar things, like, self-love as in exercise, or, eating well. Men do that a lot, don't they? That's, a way of loving yourself, as it were.
Yes, and probably as women, connecting with silence, with your own voice. Close your eyes, breathe through the day, like having moments.
Meditation.
Meditation is
but
amazing.
Meditation is a weird one. Like, and it's the same as mindfulness. I've just been speaking about this recently, in the fact that they're words that I think turn people off. They're like, oh God, it sounds so hippie, or whatever. And actually, all it is being calm and connected to your thoughts, and actually still just to go, right, okay, what's bothering me, and if I have some calm time now, I might be able to cope with that other thing later. And
I feel like it's very easy to explain when you try to be more like explain it to it as a mechanic thing. If you are all the time spreading energy, you get easier empty. But if you take moments to recharge,
absolutely.
You of course you can continue with the day, with your activities, with whatever is there that you need to show up with a little bit of more energy, because I think meditation really recharges you from an energetic level. Level. So I would also recommend that too. Do you think men, after this experience you have with your podcast, talk better with women than between them?
Well, I mean, when it's a group of men, because I do work with a lot of groups of men, it is all about having the banter, having the laugh, and you don't want to look weak as they would, you know. I feel like I'm really stereotyping, but you know that it is proven that more men take their own lives because they haven't spoken about it. And I think on a one-on-one, I have done a lot of one-on-one chats with men, and they definitely, you know, open up a lot. Yeah,
I think with women, they feel like they don't have to prove that they are strong.
Yeah,
because somehow they know we feel strong despite the fact that we know we are fragile and we know we are emotional.
Yeah.
And we still feel very strong.
Yeah.
And maybe that allows to talk more intimately about things. I think I have very deep conversations with men I know, but I definitely feel it's easier to talk about deep disappointment or frustration or anything that could be
I hope so. I mean, I'd like to
bad
think,
with women.
Yeah, I think, you know, and then, you know, for the men that haven't got any women in their lives, that must be tough. You know, like it's, you know, being a single mum to two sons, I know that, you know, I'm a little bit too open to them maybe.
Do you try to talk about these things with them? For example, do they know how much the death of your friend represents in your life, mean for you? Do they know?
Yeah, I think
how
so.
Do you
I'm
feel?
quite open. I've told them, I tell them everything pretty much. So yeah, I think so. But being teenagers, they've probably forgotten. Don't care.
Do they listen? Do you think they listen?
Yeah, deep down they do. Even when they're pretending.
One day they will listen even more.
Sometimes
the information is there.
Yeah, sometimes they repeat things to me, and I'm like, oh, you were listening then. So that's good. Yeah,
that's why it's important to keep doing the work. And tell me about your life coach certificate. What was that?
So this started before Show Love. It's kind of how Show Love came about.
Okay.
I was lucky enough to get a
all
place.
related.
Yeah, weirdly, I don't know. So I used to work with a guy called Jeff Brazier, lovely guy. He had studied life coaching. He was telling me about it, and he'd done it in Cambridge, and he said, you know, you should enroll. So I enrolled, and it just seemed to come at the right time, and I was like, I want to do that. I want to talk about things and help people, because I've always felt like because I wear my heart on my sleeve, as the tattoo shows, that I'm a big talker, and I think that helps people. And I've been told that before. It sounds quite arrogant, but people say that to me. So I thought, well, obviously I could maybe do this. So I thought I'd give it a go, and so studied that. And I remember we were in a class, and they were saying, the teacher was saying, you know, oh, you should do that kind of life coaching, and you should do that kind of life coaching. And they said to the guy next to me, oh, you love love, so you should do love. And then they said to me, you should do empowerment. And I was sat there, I don't want to do empowerment, I want to do love. I remember thinking that, and that was a bit of a light bulb moment for me, thinking, I've always been obsessed with love. I've always tried to set up my friends, and, you know, when I see people, because love for me is the best feeling in the world. Anyone who's falling in love, it's great. And being in love with somebody, loving your children, loving yourself. And so for me, it was, this is where I've got to go, and that's how it all kind of.
So you decided not to do empowerment, but to do love. And what does a life coach specialize in love does?
Well, I don't. Weirdly, I didn't specialize in love. I'm just there to help you.
Love yourself. Personal decision.
It's kind of pushing people forward. So we all get stuck for whatever reason, and if it's something to do with something that's happened in your past, you need a counsellor. But a life coach will help you sort of gain momentum and get the confidence to push yourself forward to something that you want to do. Or if you don't know what you want to do, help you discover what that is.
Okay.
You know, and it's always when you're feeling a little low, or you just want to decide what to do with your life. So.
And the process of researching the person in front of you have to do with conversation, have to do with observing some patterns of some habits. What do you really work with? What's
you get, when you get trained, you get sort of certain questions, and like, for instance, here's an example of a question. If somebody's sat there and they're stuck and they don't like their job or whatever's gone wrong in their life, and you say, if you could get a magic wand now and wave that wand and have the life that you want, what would it look like? and that gets them thinking about what they actually want, and then you know what their dream is, and then you can help them get from where you are now to where their dream is. And talking, little baby steps, making tasks every time they come back. They've completed some tasks to get where they want to be.
Do you think you use those qualities or those skills you have now in your TV work? Because you also have to deal with a lot of people. Being a floor manager makes you have to be good at connecting with very special people, let's say, but they feel special, probably.
You mean celebrities.
Exactly. Celebrities.
Yeah.
And at the same time, making feel in the same way anyone else.
Yeah.
People that maybe has never been in TV
Yeah,
before.
yeah, well, yeah.
So those skills are good to learn how to deal with people.
Yeah, well, yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that I will be with Bob from Newcastle, and he's going out onto the set to talk about this, I don't know, something that happened to him in the bank or whatever. I was just making that story, and we have a good chat backstage. As much as I would love to be stood with Richard Branson, who's about to go out talking about his new book or whatever, and I think that I've always felt like everybody should be treated the same anyway. I've done that throughout my TV career. Friends with the security people.
That's probably why you are so good at it, because I think it's a
I'm
very
good at
important.
it.
Yeah,
Nice, thank you.
but my informants.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, the security people are doing a job. They're just as important as the runner who's just done a tea run for the gallery, and the director. I mean, we're all a team, aren't we, working? And I think you get the best out of people if you're open and honest and treat them with respect.
Are you good under pressure, or do you prefer to have everything under control?
I quite like the pressure, but I think that's years and years of live telly. It's quite a buzz if it goes a little bit wrong, it's quite a buzz. Not that I wish that it would go wrong, but it
allows you to be a little bit more creative.
Yeah. I suppose there is an element of being in control as well as a floor manager, because you're kind of trying to control the studio floor, and if it goes well, it's a good feeling.
I'm asking you that because actually working in Venezuela, we were during the 90s, we were quite competitive in a regional level in all South America, because being from a country where there's a lot of chaos, you learn naturally how to deal with last minute problems and how to not panic about that, because it's just part of a day-to-day life. Yeah. Everyone have to do it all the time.
I don't know that I would deal with that particularly well, but yeah.
But then you become, as a nationality, we were well known in Miami and other places as being good producers, because good producers, they just
work under
pressure and work under pressure. And if you are used to do it every time just to go from A to B, you have to solve a problem because the boss is not on time, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I also think that you have to keep everyone calm. I think if you yourself start panicking, and it often works that if there's panic at the top of the tree, which I'm nowhere near, I'm in the middle somewhere, that filters down, and then panic ensues, and the wheels fall off, and it gets a bit horrendous. On live telly, that can be quite bad. Yeah.
Somehow you are in charge of the energy in the floor.
Yeah, because the applause and it's also good because being the floor manager, you're always with the main presenter of a TV show, so I think they feed off you a lot, and I'm like an excitable kid, I suppose, sometimes with a presenter, because when they're good, I'm like, you're that, and I love that, and I suppose that because I'm like that works. Maybe some people would say that's really irritating. I don't know.
I'm sure it's not. And any anecdotes from all these years working in TV? Maybe something that, I don't know, could be fun or funny.
God, now you're asking. I mean, there's so many things. I'm like, for instance, there was one time when I was doing SMTV with Anton Deck, and we had the Spice Girls on, and they were doing a performance, and then they were going to be in a sketch. and I think it was an ad break or something, and I had to run into a room and get them changed in I think it was 3.5 minutes or something, which sounds like a lot of time, but trying to get women changed in 3.5 minutes.
No,
and I remember
it's not a lot of
time, and you're counting them down. 30 seconds.
No, it's horrible.
But I remember running in at the room, and all their costumes were on the side, and they all just took off their tops. All of them just there, and I was just stood there looking at all of the Spice Girls' boobs, and I just remember thinking, my camera, where's my camera? Would pay millions to be where I am now. It's like crazy stuff like that.
And you couldn't document that.
No, of course not. It's in there. No, but but it's just crazy that things like that happened all the time. And another time I was standing in for Bono. You got me started now. This will be the last story. And one by one, U2 would come onto the set, and they were sort of with their guitars and tuning up and stuff. And then Bono comes over, and he's like, "Oh, you're doing a much better job than me, or whatever. Let's have you do it." And just you're on the set with these people, and they're like massive superstars, and
of course,
so he made me
and in their moment
because sing the song,
probably in a moment when they were at the top of the fame.
Like Britney Spears couldn't say my name, like you said about saying my name, and she would be like, Bronwen. Bronwen.
I have the same problem.
It is a weird
name.
Like
Britney Spears. And so talking about self-love now, because it's not what we were talking before.
Sorry.
Do you have you developed with growing this podcast of you? Have you also developed new knowledge, new rituals? Do you have a different understanding of what it really is? And also, what does that mean for you? Because it's so personal, right?
Yeah.
How do you take care of yourself or give love to yourself? It depends of everyone.
Yeah.
We all have different languages.
Yeah, definitely. My way of giving love to myself is that I write lists. Other people might not like that, but I always feel happy to have a list and then check off the list. So
okay, that's good.
That's good, because every night I have a note, in the notes in your book, I sort of try and make a list of things I've got to achieve the next day. It's been a bit wayward at the moment because, we haven't been working as much and stuff, but I have made sure that, I've tried to do a little bit of exercise or a little bit of meditation, and, spending time with friends is really important. But I think the best thing that I've learned for self-love is that I read a book called The Miracle Morning by a guy called Hal Elrod. He's American. Amazing guy.
Really?
It's the best
I was going to ask you about books and documentaries, but
if I could say to anybody who's struggling with anything, get The Miracle Morning. I think it's changed so many thousands and thousands of people's lives. And in that, he has a car accident, and he's in hospital, and he's really depressed and stuff, and it shows how he gets from there to being he's a very successful author now and stuff. But there's certain things that he calls them the savers that he does every morning, and I'll try and remember them now. There is scribing, which is writing, journaling. He calls it scribing because it has to make a word like savers, so that's why he called it scribing. So journaling is something that you do. I mean, it only has to be there's enough to do an hour's worth in the morning, but if you do it, no, I do. You can do a minute a day of each, so I try and do that. I don't do it every day. You kind of fall in and out of it, don't you? But when I'm doing it, I definitely notice that I feel better. So you do a bit of writing, you do what is the A? Hang on, this is where I should have done a bit of research before I did it. Hang on, let me do some exercise is the E, and what are the savers now? Are they where you visualize is the V, visualize things. A is affirmations, where you say good things to yourself, so you can say, I am beautiful, or I'm good at this, or because we're always putting ourselves down. And reading is the R. What have I done now? I've missed one. S. So a little bit of reading, a little bit of writing, a little bit of meditation, stillness. That's the S.
Stillness, okay.
Yeah. So it's all the basics that you should do. Everyone should do a bit of exercise. Everyone should be still. Everyone meditate. Everybody should do a bit of exercise, a bit of reading.
But imagine
talk well to
that
themselves.
in the life of very busy mom. For
Yeah,
example.
well, that's
it
why.
is hard to do it everything in the morning.
Yeah, but if you do like a minute or 10 minutes of that,
Or one of those at least.
or one of those at least, exactly. And also, if you did say, because there's 7 days in a week, you could do one a day and then have a day off. You know, I mean, and then by the end of the week, you've achieved, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
There are definitely little rituals that help you to get into the zone and get some momentum for the
absolutely.
day.
And it's getting out of bed and doing it. Like if you put your phone on and then you're like, oh, I'll just look at Instagram. I know I do it. And I'll be looking at Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and an hour's gone by, and I'm like, oh my God, I've literally been lying here. And then to find the momentum, then to get up and do a bit of reading, a bit of meditation. It's gone.
When I wake up, I still with my eyes closed. I say a lot of things, affirmation, but not any affirmation. Some that I have discovered that talks to me.
Yeah.
For example, I trust. I let go and trust.
Oh,
you know, like
yeah.
because you want to have some sort of control, and you don't even realize. You think you are very easygoing. And
Yeah.
It's not, it's not as much as you think. So maybe saying, but then I repeat it. When I feel like it's enough, then I open my eyes and then I look at the phone. But I do it in the morning.
You've got
but I somehow have my own ritual.
Yeah.
It helps because if you, before doing any of these things, you just open your eyes and go directly to the phone. You already have lost the opportunity to put yourself in a better...
Absolutely.
And another thing I think I have learned, you didn't ask, but...
No, good. It's good. I like this.
To stand from the bed, because I was one of those people that loves to do everything in the bed, on the bed, like computer, reading, everything. Yeah.
Well, I don't have a telly in my room because I don't want my bedroom to be for that. I think that's important that you don't do that in bed.
It's very important because it really drains your energy. Like, you become this kind of lazy
and that breeds depression, and then you can't get out of bed, and then it's like the day's then it's midday, and you're still there. You're still there.
If you are sleeping, it's fine. If you need to sleep a lot,
or having sex,
exactly.
or masturbating. I mean, that's all self-love.
Exactly. For example, do you consider, when you talk about self-love with your clients, do they consider masturbation as one of the expressions of loving yourself?
I don't think I've ever... I mean, the only reason I say that is because a lot of the lads at work, when I said, and we're going to talk about self-love, and they're self-love, but and then I thought, well, that is a way of expressing it. So I've never done that in life coaching. I might use that next time.
It's actually to release energy is amazing, but also to feel independent and self-sufficient.
Yeah. Or if you're on your own, that's what you've got.
Huh?
Or if you're on your own, that's what you've got.
Yeah, but also you feel like I only got myself, but I am enough for myself. If I am with someone else, it's not because I need anything. It's because I just found someone wonderful to share something, life, a moment, whatever.
But people don't talk about it a lot, do they? And it's one of those things that's embarrassing, especially with women. Women seem to talk about it less. I think people think that I'm obsessed with sex because I talk about it so much. But I'm actually obsessed with the feeling of love and sex and the joy that you can get from all of that.
And also the connection, the communication.
That's what
because
it's about.
After all, talking about things is trying to do some bridges from me to you to see, what do you think, what do I think, what should we think, and that's the best way to achieve that, talking. talking about that, I felt when I arrived to UK, culturally, Latins in general, all Latin cultures, including Spanish, Spain, Italians, all South Americans, we have a lot of those elements from the Mediterranean
compared
culture.
to us British, where we just don't talk about it.
With, the more Nordic British behavior. Sometimes you feel like, for example, I remember being in situations where someone asks, "How are you?" and if you say something a little bit more than "Oh, fine, bad," then they immediately felt super uncomfortable or disappear, or they offer you a cup of tea. And it's like, okay.
I mean, that cures everything, right?
I'm sorry, maybe it's not fair to put everyone in the same bag.
Oh, that's so
But
true. I would do that. I would offer you a cup of tea. So I think
we
are
a cup of tea. I know. I take the cup of tea like we offer coffee, or it's an affectionate thing. But sometimes you feel like, I ask you, but I don't really want to know, and then
that's back to the small talk again, though, isn't it?
Yes, it's very difficult,
and you're trying to give them more and not
to understand when
do you stop?
When the question is for real.
Yeah.
I think you are.
That's a big point.
Warm and open to talk than the media in this culture.
Yeah, maybe.
Am I wrong? How do you feel regarding yourself?
I'd say people think that I remember a friend of mine, he works in TV. If he watches this, he'll know who he is. He turned up with his boyfriend, and apparently, I only found this out because the boyfriend told me later on, but he got to the door and he went, "Now, I've got to warn you, she asks a lot of questions."
So don't ask everything.
Yeah. And which I do, but it's because I'm interested, and some people obviously feel it's too much or bombarded. My sons say all the time, "Stop asking me bloody questions, Mum." But I care, and I think you're right that it's very much like we're like, "Oh, hello, how are you today?"
And then you know that you just have to say, "Oh, I'm fine, all good."
Yeah. That's all they want to hear.
And it's strange.
But that's maybe what stops people talking when they need to talk about it.
And I think it's not just cultural; it's also a generation, and that's changing probably with the new generations. That's I'm sure that's changing also because this lovely city is so mixed in many ways, not just races and cultures, but the history becomes a different thing. I don't know. Things just change with all the fusion.
All our traditions come together.
Exactly. And also the times change, so also people behave differently because we recognize different necessities. Like for example, now it's very fashionable to talk about self-love, but we didn't do it 20 years ago. Nobody was talking about.
I've always been quite open, and my family aren't really like that. So I was always a bit of a mouthy, I think, bossy. I've been told.
Too much? Have you felt like being too much?
Yeah, probably. Please like me.
That's not a good thing.
Yeah,
especially for women, because back to conservative standards. No, I hate that being too much is a bad thing. When you should take all the space possible, and your voice should be as loud as possible.
But I think that's worked in my favour as well, though. I think luckily I sort of found a job that kind of worked a little bit in, maybe.
Do you feel that doing this podcast of you has allowed that side of you to express a little bit better? The fact that you do it without no expectations, you just do it because you wanted to offer this kind of present to your friend or to whoever was there and needed it. Do you think that's why it's quite successful? Because you weren't expecting any success.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it gets quite a lot of listens, which is quite nice. But hopefully, it just gets people. I just want it to be like this, not a nice chat and hopefully it's not really about me, it's about the person that I'm talking to. And that's why this is kind of weird for me, because I don't think anyone cares about what I've got to say. It's more about
care. We do care, right?
but about what the people I'm talking to, it's about them and, you know, their particular story or whatever.
In many of the episodes, you tackle the thing of loneliness.
Yeah.
And how a big issue it is in Britain.
Yeah.
And how much it affects even your mortality rates.
Yeah.
In terms of nation, and how much it leads you to depression. What's your perspective? Why are we so lonely? Do you think all this mass social media invasion or the times we live in are so competitive that we don't have time to connect, we only have time to work?
We're so busy, yeah. I think also because we used to go around in tribes, didn't we, when we were in the old days, and it was all about family, and, you know, the young people looked after the old people, and now all the old people
the oral tradition
in their little rooms with their telly or whatever, and the young people, even my sons, or, you know, people I know, their children are in a room on a computer screen and they're with their friends, they're not outside with their friends. When we grew up, we were out on our bikes and there was more community, and it's just, I think that now we've all got a phone, we're in company but we're looking at the phone and we're not having conversations anymore, and I really think that's affecting people and breeding loneliness. I really do. As much as you can now contact people the other side of the world, and, you know, online dating and stuff, the world is open to you. You can date anybody. And whereas in the olden days you'd marry the person that lived next door or whatever.
Or your cousin.
Yeah, your cousin or
family, because you
exactly
go anywhere.
Which is good. That's obviously a good thing, but it also can make you feel lonely because you're not actually physically with a person. And I'm really all for face to face. We need to mix more. And you know, I'm on my own. It's quite lonely, and there's me spouting out all this stuff, but I'm not actually with anyone myself. But
we have just came out of this long quarantine because of the COVID-19. How was it for you? Your routine, your mental health at that moment? Were you stressed? Were you calm? What was?
I think I was kind of stressed when everything in my diary started going, because for me the stability of some work and money coming
the financial
in, that sent me in a bit of a spiral. That was the worst thing for me. The boys, my son's being home was lovely, so we did a lot of things like barbecues and stuff in the garden. I made my garden nice, all of that. The first week I remember I did a spring clean of my house, and I think my default is to tidy up and write lists, so I love that. But after that, it's the not seeing people. And we were lucky that, you know, in this generation with the Zoom calls and the, you know, the phones, you could.
But still, we come back to that sense of connectivity that is.
Yeah, we were, but at least we had that a bit.
Same.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
It's not. I think everyone's now waiting for the pubs to open, and that will be when we kind of get that culture back where you can go out and have a drink with somebody or have a meal with somebody at a restaurant, and that's what I think we all need now. Anyone who's on their own, and you know, I was lucky I had 2 boys in the house with me, but I've got friends that are single and they haven't got a pet, or they couldn't see their parents, and that was lonely.
That's quite difficult.
That's difficult
because of course I found it easy because I was finally having time to invest more energy in my own personal projects, and I'm quite good at not doing anything. I always find something to do.
Yeah,
like I never get bored, honestly. But
and the days are going quicker.
But I understand talking with other people that it's not the same situation for everyone. It also depends of your own way of living, the things that makes you happy. I love, for example, sitting there the whole day doing stupid things, like in my kitchen, next to the window, having a little bit of sun, and just reading things or listening to podcasts. I don't know. I'm easy like that. But there's people that that's not enough. They need real action,
real conversation.
Exactly.
And real action. There's a distinct
lack of that as well. The lack of sex.
And it's illegal.
Was it illegal? If you had it.
Well, even now, I think it's illegal for me to have sex with someone who I don't live with.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which means I'll never get laid again, probably, which is quite tragic.
No. Don't say that. That's not gonna happen. Come on, let's be positive. This is a good about
this
good
is a self-love.
Exactly. And well, everyone talks about this situation has changed people apparently in many ways. I don't know if it has changed me, but do you think, are you coming
I think it's
the
changed
other
me.
side?
I think what I've brought, and I've talked about this to other people, is you've kind of realised who's important and what's important. And the people that haven't really contacted you, and you're like, well, I didn't really miss them, so why have I spent so much time with them? Maybe I don't, and those people, they've really cared about me, and that's sort of made me reevaluate things. And likewise, things that I haven't missed doing, but I've really enjoyed doing these things. Maybe in the future I might end up doing those a bit more. And I think it's been good for, a lot of families have reconnected with their kids that they're always at work, they don't see them, or maybe realise that their partner, they don't like them anymore. Maybe it's that,
it's been hard for people that don't really like so much each other.
And maybe it's made them make the jump that, right, well that's got to end now, and I need to, because it's almost like we could have died, isn't it? I mean, we still could. It's not gone anywhere. But
I have a friend that she decided to break up. They were kind of already talking about that, and then she found another person, and then the lockdown came, and she's like, I'm writing a comedy. I'm gonna do a stand-up comedy after this.
Well, that's good. So she's
because it's just crazy. It's just insane. It's horrible. It's been really a nightmare. Or I transform this into something funny.
Well, it's like a reset, isn't it? And you can think about what's important and what you need to leave behind now.
And sometimes deal with situations that you don't like with patience is the big lesson. Like knowing that you cannot change it now. So just be calm, just be patient, because we are not very patient in these times. We want everything right now,
because
like
we can
photos
get it
in
now.
Instagram. Like good filters. No.
You look fabulous.
No. You need your filters, believe me, and your makeup. I wanted to talk about online dating because I saw that you are not quite, I mean, you are very open, but seems like for you it's very important to still meet someone in real life, face to face.
Because I think it's about energy. I think that that a lot of people find love on online dating, but personally, I think that it's about the connection.
You had experiences?
I did one online date just so that just so that I could say that I tried it to see. It was an awful.
Was
experience.
It? Tell me everything. What do you mean awful?
It just. So the guy, I mean, I think it was supposed to be so bad so that I never went back again. But I was already saying that I don't think this works, and I think you if you're in a room with 100 men, for me, whatever, the one that you think that on a picture you might fancy isn't the one that you have the energy with, and you can feel that. You can feel that when you're in a room with somebody. So I think that really is part of falling in love and what makes us tick. We're animals, aren't we? And pheromones and everything like that. But the online date, he was little bit older than me, and I've never really done that before, so I thought I'm going to give it a go. He was a salesman. I can't even remember his name now. And
poor guy.
I tried to erase him.
I'm sure he remembers you.
He doesn't. He literally he said he wanted to meet, and he said, I've got the whole of tomorrow. When do you want to do it? So I picked 1:00. Let's go for a coffee. So we decided to meet in a hotel.
Playing safe, but super safe.
Yeah, exactly. It was my
1:00 is the less sexy time or ever.
1:00.
I
thought, well, if it goes really well, well, and we've got the whole evening, haven't we? So we met. We were going to meet in this hotel, and I think he was a salesman or something. And I was getting ready. I was quite excited. My first online date, dried my hair or whatever. And he texted me and he said, "Oh, I'm really sorry, but I'm going to have to do a sales job at 3. So can we make it earlier?" And I straight away thought, well, that's a bit rude because I'm getting ready now and I won't be ready in time. And so pretended I hadn't seen it and then went, "Oh, I've just seen this. I'm so sorry, I won't be ready in time." And he's like, "Well, that's okay. I really want to see you today. Can I see you on the way to my sales thing?" I'm like, "Well, when?" He said, "Where do you live?" And I told him the village next to where I live because I didn't want him to know where I lived. And he said, "Oh, well, there's a service station." I can't believe that I fucking said yes. He said, "There's a service station right near where you live. Why don't we meet there in the Costa?" And
how did you feel in that moment?
I felt awful. I just thought, this guy, what is this to you? Like, I said, no, and he was like, "No, I really want to meet you." So I went to this Costa and I'm just sat there. And he's late, and I'm waiting. I've bought myself a coffee, and he comes up to me, and he takes one look at me, and he does that. And straight away, obviously, he didn't fancy me. I mean, he showed me that with his eyes. And then he went, "Oh, I can't believe it. It was awful. It's awful." He went, "You're all right for a coffee. I'll just go and get myself one." And he went and queued in the thing, and I was thinking, not once did I think I should leave though, because I was like, I've got to do this. I've got to do this one online date just so that I can say I've done it. And so then he came back, and I swear it lasted like 20 minutes, and 15 of those minutes he talked about his ex-wife. And I, being me, was like, "Oh, really? Oh, that sounds like you probably want to get back with her, whatever." And she was some gymnast or something. And now I'm telling too many things and somebody will know it.
No, but it's incredible. How people can be
awful. And I thought, I would never have given you my energy. And because I met you online, I felt like I had to do that.
And you can actually talk about things of your life because what we want is to talk about our lives. And normally when you like someone, you talk to them about other relationships. It's normal, but
it was horrendous.
It depends also for how long, what kind of detail.
Yeah, exactly. And you probably don't really say much about it on the first date or whatever.
Yeah.
But he'd already made up his mind about me the minute he saw me. So he was obviously,
but
I wasn't what he was looking for.
Were you already chatting and having a good time?
Yeah, I thought I've got to make the best of this.
Okay.
So I tried to, talk about whatever he wanted to talk about. And then at the end he went, "Well, you should probably try, I think, Bumble or whatever. He told me to try some other online dating." He went, "That'll probably work for you," like that. And then he went, "Right, I've got to go," and went. So I was thinking, you haven't even said that you don't want to be with me, but you've literally looked at me like I was disgusting and then offered up another online dating thing that won't work. So obviously he doesn't want me. I was like, this has made me feel awful.
Yeah, and
why would
then
you
it put you off completely.
Well, I already kind of had heard stories from numerous friends and stuff anyway, but I would never put myself. I would just never have put myself in that situation in real life. So why should you do it because you've met somebody online?
Okay, but then the question, the real question, would be because How do you know? How do you meet people then? Because in this country, let me tell you, in this city, it's not that you are gonna have a chat with someone in the bus or in the supermarket or whatever.
Why
in
not?
The real, because that doesn't happen.
But it did in the olden days. How were we all born? Our gran and granddads didn't have.
But that happened to you because I was.
Well,
waiting for a few years, and I said,
"I've been very.
That's not gonna happen."
I've been very lucky that every relationship I had,
actually
met
at
them.
some point said, "Okay, I want to just meet people and see how people is in this country and do like going to a pub on my own because this is a thing here. Well, let me do it." And
I mean, I am sitting here saying this.
I mean,
I was on my own.
On my own, yeah. Like, okay, let me take the phone off. Because otherwise,
have you ever said on any of your podcasts how you met Toby?
Never, but I met him online. But I met him online, but I have to tell the story because nobody believes me.
Yeah. Because you were lucky.
I really believe in what you believe. Real energy.
Yeah.
It's scientifically proved. Our hearts have a radar.
Yes.
You know, like you know the people you like, you know the people that makes you comfortable. You know, we are animals.
Yeah, our tribe.
There's that instinctive side of us that I think in me is quite strong. So, and also coming from a Latin country is like, why do I need to go online?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like there's something wrong with me. No, so it's not the point of view of us. You know? Or at least it was. Probably it has
now
changed.
It's now the norm.
It has changed. Yeah. And then I got divorced after 18 years. Of course, you are not looking for any trouble because first you have to grieve your own pain, and okay, that was fine. But that there was also a moment that I started feeling that I wanted to meet people or feel attracted by someone, and doing these silly things like, for example, sit down in a pub to experience the local culture but I was on my own most of the times. Nobody came close. So fortunately, because sometimes you actually are grateful that I don't know. And at some point with a friend of mine, she said, okay, let's set up an online thing for you. And she was having fun and having all these friends, nothing romantic. And I was, okay, I want to do it. I was 42, I think. I would like to do it, but I have never ever done it. And I set my intention so clear to the universe. I said, I don't want to spend time. I don't want to suffer. I don't want this to be miserable. I want something wonderful, amazing, like the love of my life.
Amazing.
And I set up this profile saying like very romantic, but how was it? It was very, very, very romantic. I'm not looking for casual things. Inconveniently romantic. That was the word I wrote. That's the word I wrote. And then I put these photos. I had one date with a Portuguese guy that as soon as I saw him, I was like, what I'm doing here? I just sat there for an hour. Like it was the most miserable time of my life because I knew, not because he was poor guy. He was okay, but I was so uncomfortable. I'm so 100% or nothing.
Yeah,
you know,
nothing.
That's how I am. So I couldn't stand the poor guy, but he was fine. And then Toby.
Second. Amazing. I mean, what are the chances of that?
Very little, but you have to believe it.
Yes.
I did believe it. You have to set an intention. But
I don't think I'm ready. Honestly, I know it sounds... But I had a long 7-year relationship that I have only just sort of got out of my system. So as soon as this lockdown's properly over... Watch out, world.
Maybe that's not what you want.
Yeah, maybe now. I don't. Yeah. I haven't set my intention, so maybe I need to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. Pero, that was in Italian. When you will have an intention, it's gonna be so easy to set an intention because now you have other intentions, and those are the ones that comes up easily. So don't worry. Don't worry. Time, it's perfect. We don't believe it, but it is. It is.
Yeah.
So, but do you have friends that relate in a more positive way with the online dating world? Would you recommend that for people that feels lonely?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, definitely. You know, I'm just speaking from my experience that I think, like you say, that the heart has a radar, and that's really important. But I do think that if you're at home and that's the way to meet people, then absolutely do that. Whatever you can do.
And if it means just to have a good time with someone, having a coffee,
you might meet a new friend.
You meet a lot of people. I know friends of mine have been happy, having the attention of other people as well, but just in a very casual way, having a drink or having a coffee, not making a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
And for some people, it has really worked. Yeah. But the online world is tricky because it can make you feel alive and important.
Well,
and
also that you never quite know who you're talking to,
no,
and
yes,
that can sort of be a bit
Yes,
murky
yes,
sometimes. Yeah.
yes, and any documentary or books that you would recommend for people interested in this aspect of life that has to be with being a little bit more spiritual, or being a little bit more connected with our emotional needs, or being a little bit more self-aware in terms of self-care and self-love?
Yeah, oh yeah, blimey. I mean, Happy Place is one of my favourites. That's Fern Cotton. She does
I
a
know
great,
her.
yeah,
Yeah, she does that.
she does the
Okay,
Happy
I'm
Place
gonna have a look.
podcast, and that's great. That's all about finding your happy place. And she's actually at the moment doing an online festival that's about to start.
Really?
It was going to be last year she launched her first festival, and it was, you know, massages and yoga and, you know, all books and speeches and stuff, but obviously that had to be cancelled, so she's doing it online. So
being in a happy place. How is it?
Happy place. Yeah, and it's very popular. I think it's always number one in the podcast chart.
And maybe the books of your friend Gaia Rose.
Oh, Gaia Rose, no, she's amazing. She's very into the female energy and empowering women.
The divine feminine, that they call it now.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that she's definitely helped a lot of ladies sort of feel more confident in themselves. She's had I did a podcast with her, and she's had a really tough upbringing, and, you know, really come against the odds, and now she's just the most fabulous, beautiful, strong lady. So yeah, Gaia Rose, she's written a couple of books, and she's also got quite an online presence, so you could look her up. I think it's GaiaRose.com or something. Yeah.
Does she also do any podcasts or?
I think she might have done a couple of podcasts, but she does a lot of classes for, you know, belly dancing and sculpture and a lot of stuff like that. So there's so many fingers and pies there. She can do everything.
To avoid suicide, what do you think is something we all should try to be very aware of, or to be very aware of the people around us, to be helpful in case something will come? I don't know.
I think one of the main things is that we need to. I'm always called out for the fact that I bring up the elephant in the room, and I think that British, especially, if there's something bothering or something that we shouldn't talk about, that festers, and then it becomes a big deal. A relationship I had a long time ago, their father wasn't their real father, and they found out when they were 14, and that secret caused him so many problems, and the family so many problems, and now that's probably made him behave in the way that's caused other people problems. And it's just secrets. Obviously you want to protect people with those secrets, but they often cause more trouble. And I think if you bring up the elephant, I've got myself in a lot of trouble bringing up the elephant in the room. People don't like it, but if you get it talked about, you don't need to worry about it anymore. It's open, you've said it, and then you can deal with it, and then you can move on from it, and the elephant walks away. And I think that is the main thing you need to talk about. Like, if you have financial issues, for instance, money is a trigger for me. And a lot of the time I've buried my head in the sand and thought, oh, I'll deal with that later. The money, it spirals, it gets worse, it becomes more of a problem. And a lot of people take their own lives because they have massive money problems. If you deal with it, the sooner you deal with it, the easier it is to overcome and move on from that. And nobody wants to lose you over money.
Well, now that you mentioned that, I don't know if you have read The Power of Vulnerability by Brené Brown.
Oh, Brené Brown's amazing.
It's amazing. And the thing the big conclusion of that research, that was a study, very serious sociological study, is that shame vanishes the moment you talk about the thing that makes you feel shameful.
Yeah.
It's the only therapy, and it's amazingly productive.
Yeah.
And allowing yourself to be in vulnerable places makes you more courageous, not less.
Yeah, it does.
It makes you feel
you grow,
empowered.
you grow
Yeah, it
from
makes
it,
you feel like I did it. I had the balls. I had the guts of doing it. So I can go through it, and instead of being this thing holding me back.
And it does hold you back, and it buries you.
It becomes a big thing when it could have been just a thing.
Just a little chat. Yeah.
And as well as you, I think secrets are never good.
Never good.
No.
Never good. And they just don't, I mean, you know, they just don't, they cause so much pain to yourself and to the people you're hiding the secrets from. Because like, however big that secret is, just get it out there. And if the people can't deal with it, then they probably shouldn't have been with you in your life anyway.
Exactly. It's a good.
Unless you say
it's a good filter. It's a good filter.
Yeah.
To know who really cares.
Yeah.
Or who is really ready for you.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if you're too much, then
you need someone stronger, or bigger, or more generous.
Exactly.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been lovely. Bronwyn.
Bron. Can
Bron.
I say Bron?
B's even easier.
Thank you.
I'm so hot and sweaty. It's been lovely.
It was amazing. Thank you. And you have to listen to Show Love podcast. Thank you so much.
Thank you.